What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with Week 13 action here for the inaugural season of the FCS Dynasty, on one of the greatest NCAA games ever created, NCAA Football 2006. And we got 8 games on tap here today and several top 25 matchups, at least 3 top 25 matchups, almost every matchup having a top 25 team. So lots of marquee matchups here in this one, and it's going to be a really fun one for us here today, man. So I hope you guys are ready for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you do happen to be brand new, as we get things underway with a big time interception from the Akron Sips defensive back Kevin Avery, who is going to go ahead, he's going to notch his second interception of the season, and that's going to be key here as number 16 Ohio, they take themselves on the road to play against this number 5 ranked Akron squad, the biggest or the highest national ranking that Akron, of course, would have achieved if this was real life. It's obviously not, but Ohio, they're going to go ahead, they're going to actually get the first touchdown of the game here late in the first quarter. A little bit of play action stuff, able to get Danny Graves rolling out to his left, finds the halfback, and then that halfback went ahead, did the rest of the work. So for now, his team has a 1-point lead. That might not last for long though, as Akron is able to force a turnover there, able to at least keep it a 1-possession game. But Zips, they cannot take advantage. Matter of fact, they actually get burnt deep on the next possession, and a 70+ yard touchdown pass. Graves able to launch an absolute nuclear missile down the sideline. And while it still remains a 1-possession game, it's a good start for the Ohio Bobcats as they're trying to pull an upset against this number 5 ranked team in America. But before we go into the halftime locker room, Akron, they will also get their first touchdown of the game, and they also will get the 2-point conversion as well. So it does get knotted up at 14 apiece. And then that second half happens, and we start to see Akron really start to take over and really set a tone. How about this run to get the second half going? A 50+ yard touchdown. Blocking, absolutely perfect. No one even touches him rounding that corner. It was way too easy. And a 21-14 game, except, hang on now, here comes the Bobcats. Let's go, man. The first turnover that this defense has forced, and it's right on the 1-yard line. You gotta capitalize off a field position like that. Literally does not get any better than that. It really doesn't. In Ohio, they certainly will capitalize on the opportunity, notch it back up to a 21-all game. But it looks like the Zips are going to get that last laugh though, as the tight end, he's going to get open out on the flat pattern to take the lead, and Akron will ultimately hang on. Pretty competitive game to start this episode as Akron continues really the fantastic season that they've been experiencing. They are now, when they win this game, they beat Ohio 31-21 being that final score, as that will continue the great season that they're having. They're now 9-1 on the year, while Ohio is still having a pretty solid year. Despite this loss, they fall to 7-3. We'll see if they fall down enough to where they fall out of the top 25, but I think they should stay given their performance overall in this ball game. But not only do we have top 25 matchups going down throughout the country, we also have games in which are going to determine various conference championship races, as James Madison, they are going to take the field now against the South Carolina State Bulldogs, who are out here enjoying their senior night action. This is the final game that South Carolina State will at least play here in the regular season. Now, if they get to have any postseason action, that's something different, but James Madison are trying to stay alive in that Coastal Division race. They are trying to chase down New Hampshire, as New Hampshire and James Madison, they're both one game apart from each other. They actually are supposed to play next week as well. So with that being said, if we do end up seeing James Madison beat New Hampshire, then that game will decide a division conference championship game. So that will be huge. But first, they got to take care of business against the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. And this is one way to do it, man. Not really known for running the football. They, really rely on Kenny Raymer, one of the best quarterbacks here in the FCS. And really showing his mark as well. Able to get a nice pass over the middle. Beautiful route running, by the way. And now it's 2nd and 8. As Raymer, he's going to fake the handoff. He's actually going to throw this downfield towards the end zone. And how about that? Throwing it in double coverage, but only putting it in a spot where his man can specifically come down with it. Great throw and catch. And it's a 14-0 lead for the Dukes already. Could make it 21-0 here, as that's another beautiful throw. Out to the tailback. One man with the beat, and he dives into the end zone. Touchdown, James Madison. And a 63-yard touchdown off of the wheel route as well. That's going to be a 21-0 game. In South Carolina State, they desperately need a response. They need Eric Fowler to show up here, but missing on the underneath route. It's going to be an interception. Oh no, this could be one of those situations where we possibly might see South Carolina State on senior night of all games being ran out of the building. So definitely some trouble as the Bulldogs facing a 24-0 deficit, but they finally get their first huge play of the ball game. Fowler looking down the right-hand side, dropping it right in the bucket. And for the very first time today, the Bulldogs are in the red zone now and are going to cash in. Finally getting themselves on the board. They get rid of the goose egg as an 11-yard touchdown over the middle of the field. They're actually going to go for the 2-point conversion. However, they are not successful in getting it. So it is still a 3-possession game. And how about we go ahead and make it a 4-possession game? That is the third turnover that this defense was able to go ahead and force. And it's now 31-6. And now South Carolina State, they need to get points on the board, and they got to get them quickly if they want to have any remote chance of making a comeback, or at the very least, making the scoreboard look a little bit better. I mean, it does not look good, getting absolutely crushed on a senior day of all things, right? But they won't go down quietly without a fight. They will. Eric Fowler does notch his second passing touchdown of the day, but little too late, as James Madison, they will handle their business against going up against South Carolina State. They win by a final score of 31-13. We will see New Hampshire later in this episode. They're going to be taking on Norfolk State. New Hampshire is undefeated in conference play, so James Madison, they take care of business for right now. For the time being, is going to put them a half game back of the New Hampshire Wildcats, who are also ranked a little bit higher. But now we'll see what New Hampshire does later in this episode. Now, last week we saw Texas State lose its contention to be, to play for that SEC Conference Championship game. But then, now they have to go ahead and host yet another top 25 team, the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens. Now, Delaware, they already have clinched their way into the ACC Conference Championship, but this is an opportunity to, boost that resume up a little bit. Get yourself inside that top 15, get yourself, better positioning for postseason action. Texas State, meanwhile, they're trying to, play a little bit of spoiler here, get themselves above 500, and Texas State's going to get off to a really good start there as Brian Fitzhugh gets his very first interception of the season on senior day. the final game of the season, and it sets up the Bobcats in phenomenal field position inside, the 40-yard line. It's Joe Davis. We still understand that Joe Thomas is an extremely bad man. I mean, look at this 24-yard grab. That is how you get yourself started. And now the Texas State Bobcats, they start off just outside of the red zone, and sure enough, Texas State with the fire unis, they will strike first against the number 20 team in all of America. Gonna take a 7-0 lead as a beautiful job on the option. That man was gone like a girl in a country song for sure. And Delaware finds itself down early, but some big gains the other way here as Jamal Willis able to slice and dice through the defense. Nice cuts to find the hole. He remained patient as well. And now on the 27-yard line as Davis, he's going to throw one up to the end zone and finds his star tight end. Touchdown Delaware as John Taylor, one of the guys in the secondary, looks like he hurt his forearm or his elbow or something there. Doesn't look fantastic. But Delaware will take the lead, but it won't be too long though before Texas State starts to threaten as another nuke launched down the right-hand side. That was an incredible effort to keep himself inbounds there as well. So you love to see that. And now, mama, there goes that man. And that's going to put the Texas State Bobcats back up on top. They will go ahead and they will take a 1-point lead here as we go ahead and see if Texas State can expand on this lead. 2 minutes left to play here in the first half. They forced Delaware to punt this football away. And Joe Thomas, why do you go to this guy? You cannot punt to Joe Thomas. He is a dangerous man. Dude won NCAA Player of the Week back in week number 12, the last episode. I mean, dude was on the thumbnail for a reason, you guys, for that episode. And now Joe Thomas, he's got a touchdown to his name, helps his team get up by a possession. But Delaware, they look to get it right back on track. I thought they would go for the 2-point conversion, but they chose not to do that for now. So they will remain down by 1 for at least the time being, but we'll see how much longer that lasts as Adam Evans, he also gets his very first interception of the season. And that sets Delaware up already in good field position, in field goal range if they want it. And sometimes it's just better to be lucky than it is to be good. Wow. Texas State, trying to bat the ball down. I mean, look at this. This should have at the very least been an incompletion, and now none of those free guys, they can't make the tackle after that. That is just incredibly bad luck. Sometimes bad things happen to good people, man. As Delaware will take the lead. Davis is feeling himself as he's going to launch one down the middle of the field, but this time Texas State not only deflects it, but they also get the interception. And here comes the Bobcats. Chance to take the lead. 1 minute left in the third. Option to the right, and it's going to be a touchdown. Texas State gets themselves right back ahead as the Bobcats will go and retake the lead, and they are on the verge of pulling the upset, getting Delaware out of the top 25, punting them up out of here. All they gotta do is hang on, but an untimely error on special teams just might cost them as Delaware takes the lead. And now 30 seconds left to play. One last chance here to possibly win this game. They do need a touchdown to win the game. It's either they win or they lose. There is no possibility for a tie at this point. So I just want to remember that, as we get into the final couple of plays in this game, as they run down to the last 8 seconds here, they have time to run one more play, and they decide to run the football, and it makes it impossible for them to kill the clock, by a spike. And that's how this game ends, guys. Delaware, off of some questionable playing calling at the end, is going to escape on the road. They get the win, 35-30 being the final score. Oh, you feel bad for those Texas State kids. They could have very well won this game, but they let that lead get away in the last 2 minutes, and then questionable play calling thwarts a possible attempt to come back and win the game. It's definitely a really tough pill to swallow, and you hate to see it. But we got more top 25 action on tap here as Central Michigan is going to take on Ball State, two teams that are both 7-3 in their respective overall as of right now. Central Michigan ranked a little bit higher, but they got to go on the road, and both are competing to try to get into that conference championship game. They're right in there with Eastern Michigan as well. Eastern Michigan also with a 5-2 conference record. So whoever wins this game, that's going to help them stay alive. In that particular regard, Central Michigan in particular, if they win this game, they will temporarily be half a game ahead, but we'll just have to wait and see how this game plays out. So we'll jump right into things being all knotted up at 3 apiece here, as if I'm showing a punt, then something's about to go down, and go down it does as he's able to turn the corner, and that man gonna be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown Central Michigan, and that is a 77-yard kick return, and that is absolutely huge as well, as that gives Central Michigan the lead for the time being. Gonna be up 10-3 for the time being, but Ball State will respond shortly after that, though, as they will able to get a long touchdown play of their own, not from the special teams necessarily, but from that offense, and Ball State will pull back ahead 13-10, maybe 20-10 though, as this man's at the 20. He's gonna be brought down at the 20-yard line. But now here comes the Cardinals of Ball State University. Hill was looking to, throw it to the outside, and he's going to be intercepted because of it. Is now Ball State actually, they had a chance to put points on the board. They actually somehow failed to do just that. They missed the field goal, but this defense, though, being absolutely just optimistic. You really love to see the effort that this defense has been putting in thus far. They're determined to make sure that Ball State remains in that top 25, although I would feel that that would be a little bit of a drop. I would have called that a drop more so than a fumble, but I am not an official. I don't want to be an official because everyone would hate me regardless of the calls I made, right? Like it would be tough out here to be an official, but Ball State, they take advantage of the somewhat controversial turnover and turn that into 6 points. They get a touchdown on the board, and Ball State pulls ahead. It's 20-10, and doing so before going into the halftime locker room. And we'll see if the Chippewas can do a little bit better here in the second half, but they turn the football again. You cannot make this up. Just a bad day for that Chippewas offense. Not winning football by any stretch of the imagination. Let alone when you go on the road to play against a top 25 squad. It don't work like that, you know what I'm saying? But Ball State 20-10, go try to take advantage of the turnover, but they turn the football over themselves, and that is the Ball State team now turn the football over. It's their first interception of the day, and we see 3 turnovers in this one so far, as Hill looking to lead his guys downfield, is going to throw it out into the flat, and his receiver is going to fight through a couple of separate defenders and get himself into that end zone. It's a touchdown for the Chippewas, and it does officially make it 7. It cuts the lead down to a few points, and Jason Lee going to get involved in the action. He's going to get his second interception of the game. And now the Chippewas, they got a chance here to go out there and take the lead. They are 2 for 2 on red zone opportunities so far today, as Hill rolling to his left. He's looking towards the end zone, but that gets intercepted too. Oh, that would have been a huge opportunity to swing the MO your way, take the lead, or at the very least, tie this game up a little bit. But instead, it looks like unless we see a miracle, Ball State, they're going to stay in that top 25 after all, as a little bit fullback dive action, something that not the expert would certainly be proud of, should give them the lead here unless, we see Central Michigan score quickly, get the onside kick too. If they do one of those things, they get the quick score. So things get a little bit interesting there. Travis Hill, using that cannon of an arm. It was 2-on-1 down there, and, his guys won, but couldn't get the onside kick, though. And Ball State was able to go ahead. They ran out the rest of the clock, and that does mean that Ball State, they're going to win this football game. They get to 8-3, as that is going to essentially wrap up their regular season action. Now, not all teams will play just 11 teams. There's not a lot of standardization, at least not at this point. Some teams are playing 11, other teams are playing 12 games. But Ball State, they should be done with their regular season, though. They move up to 8-3. Central Michigan will be taking their 4th loss of the year. They will fall to 7-4, but a pretty close game overall. Definitely could have swung either way, but Ball State, they won the turnover battle and therefore was able to win the game. So like I said, we saw James Madison earlier in this episode. They take care of business against South Carolina State, and we'll see if New Hampshire can do the same thing here, as we are focusing in here on this ACC divisional action, as New Hampshire is currently on top. They are 6-0 in the conference. Norfolk State actually having a good year in conference play as well. They're 4-2, as they are out here trying to have a good senior day. Final home game for Norfolk State here in this one, and they're going to have to find a way to contain the likes of Carlos Montoya. Now, Montoya has not been as consistent ever since it seems like more of a light has been shined on this New Hampshire football team ever since they did originally get ranked, I believe back in week 4, week 5 of the season. But, Montoya is still a dangerous football team. He's got some good receivers, but they have been doing a great job with red zone scoring, only getting points 2/3 of the time. That's in the bottom 10. We'll see if Montoya can change that here, and sure enough, that man was wide, butt naked open, and it will go for a touchdown. New Hampshire going to strike first and taking a 7-0 lead. We'll see if Montoya can build off of that this time, finding William Patterson, who takes it downfield and is going to find himself into the end zone. Touchdown, Wildcats. And that's what I'm talking about right there. Just, you don't have to, go for that long ball. Just make the best decisions. And, New Hampshire, they got some talent for an FCS squad in year number 1, by the way. A lot of these teams, are, D- is D+. New Hampshire particularly is a D+ kind of team. And, yeah, man, they've been doing some good stuff, man. But Norfolk State, they're coming out here. They do get an interception, and doing so off the tip. So that is the 13th interception thrown by Carlos Montoya this season. And we'll see if the Spartans can do anything with it. Trying to get the run on the outside, but it's going to get stripped by Brandon Terrell, who's able to strip that football without even tackling him. That's the crazy part. He doesn't even have to get the tackle in. And that's going to be a turnover, man. And as if Norfolk State, they need some serious help, man. They really need some serious help, just to stay competitive in this game. That's not happening right now. You can't turn the ball over against a team like New Hampshire. It can't be like that, especially when you got guys like William Patterson on this field. He might very easily be the best wide receiver in college football. Stats aside, just looking at the eye test, looking at the raw skill sets, I really do think that William Patterson might be the most talented receiver. And we saw it right there, 21-0 in favor of New Hampshire, as Norfolk State, they're still trying to get themselves on the board a little bit. This will help them out tremendously, as Albert Reese is able to get a huge play downfield, just threw it up for his receiver, and use that big body in there to, box out the defender a little bit. And now a chance to possibly score before halftime. But the defense stands tall once again. And that's been a problem with Albert Reese over the course of this season. Talking about a guy that has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. I'm actually shocked that they are, above 500 in conference play, despite those kinds of stats. That's not pretty whatsoever. And giving an offense like this extra opportunities is William Patterson scores again. Or it's Brandon Terrell. I know they're both like impact star guys. Brandon Terrell, a two-way player here. He doesn't get enough love, catching, making plays on both the offensive and defensive side of the football. But New Hampshire, they missed the extra point. So it's 27-0 here. We'll see if Norfolk State can actually do something here. They do end up getting into the red zone a second time here today. And it leaves them no choice at this point. You got to go for it here on 4th down. You're down by 27. You can't end the shutout on a field goal. That's a really weak move, right? But unfortunately, that offensive line just simply does not hold up there on that 4th and 8. Needed some time in the pocket to make something shake. And that simply did not happen there. It did not happen. So New Hampshire, they're going to be able to, seal the rest of this game. Get in this 1st down, get some time removed from the clock. And Norfolk State will not be touching the football again in this one, as New Hampshire, they do what they're supposed to do. It's not a blowout. James Madison blew out Norfolk State, but not New Hampshire. But they still won pretty convincingly, able to pitch a shutout. Offense looking solid as well. They win 27-0 in this game. And New Hampshire, they will now be 9-1 going into that big time matchup against James Madison. That will be happening in the next episode, by the way. So that's going to be something to definitely watch out for. But for now, they're going to celebrate this win, and that should help them move up in the rankings a little bit. Now, another team that's trying to rebound from its first loss of the year that they just took last week as well. We got North Dakota State here on national television. They are trying to rebound against a team that has really struggled this year. The Northern Colorado Bears, they are not 1-9. So not, really ideal to say the least. So should be a good opportunity here for North Dakota State to, get itself back on track. And listen, I know you guys probably noticed it a little bit on the, on the pregame screen, but, there's not a lot of options there for creative teams like there is, in the more modern NCAA games before Team Builder did go down. Hopefully we're able to create our teams and, import logos like, the 2Ks of the world are, allowing us to do, right? So hopefully that is indeed a thing, but I'm going to get off my soapbox for a second as North Dakota State, a rare turnover here. Northern Colorado actually does something here in the Fargo Dome as that man was ran over, but I guess while he was falling down backwards, he was able to, get the fumble. Really interesting stuff here, but unfortunately can't do anything with it. And Michael Seth, he's gonna be leaving his mark on this game. Somebody grab his mama, because there goes that man. How about a very nice 69-yard touchdown pass that will put the Bison up big early, a 14-0 lead. So now Northern Colorado trying to get that triple option attack going a little bit more here, at least trying to contain, the time of possession. But North Dakota State, they are all over it. So it might be one of those things where we might need to see that passing game come out a little bit more for Northern Colorado. And that's not something that they're very good at necessarily. So that could be a very big issue if this game does indeed get out of hand very quickly, which we're seeing a little bit of that right now. A fumble inside the 10 that the Bison are able to recover. And then Brian Alexander the other way, pitching it out to the tailback. No one even touches that running back, by the way, even though there was a defender that could have made the tackle, but just did not have the athleticism to get to him in a timely manner. So 21-0, and it's now 28-0. See, that's exactly what I was talking about right there. Seeing an untimely interception, because Northern Colorado, that's not how their offense is built. They are not built to pass the football, and now they're down by 4 possessions. That's exactly what they need to do, passing the football. North Dakota State is more than comfortable with doing just that, passing that football around. And we're not even in halftime. That's the sad part in all of this. North Dakota State, they could not have had an opponent like Northern Colorado in any better time. They desperately needed to get back on track. Show the posters that they are still built different, even though they did lose to Montana last week, right? It's an important message that they need to come out here and send, as we are getting to what could very well be the final play of this first half. And sure enough, they put it in the star receiver's hand. Northern Colorado, they do not do their jobs in terms of special teams coverage. This game gets out of hand quickly. Matter of fact, North Dakota State, they completely blanked Northern Colorado, winning 59-0 in a huge win for North Dakota State. And so we go into yet another top 25 matchup scattered throughout the country. This time, diving into Conference USA play, we got the Central Florida Golden Knights, who in real life, you want to talk about the ascension of Central Florida football. They were in Conference USA in the mid-2000s, now in the American Conference, but starting in July of 2023, they're going to be in the Big 12. So being a Power 5 team. So they really did progress extremely well. But as of right now, they are ranked a little bit lower than Rice. Rice coming in number 14 in the country. And in this specific game right here, they are going to have their hands full. Rice, they run that wishbone offense. They want to pound the football down your throat. There is, no apologies about that. And it shows in their red zone numbers. They've done a very good job in the red zone. 28 for 35 in scoring opportunities. And how about the 29th red zone score for the Rice Owls this year? As they jump to a quick lead here, they will now be up 14-0 thus far. As now, we're going to see Rice throw the football a little bit, trying to set up the screen, but it's a fumble. That ball is bouncing around everywhere, it seems like. And UCF able to get their hands on the ball. So maybe that turnover has been a slow start for the Golden Knights, but maybe this is what they're going to need in order to start turning this game around. 2nd and 10 from the 14, a chance for UCF to score. Quarterback is going to throw this towards the end of the end zone, and his receiver is going to come down with it. Jump ball, trusted his big body receiver, and sure enough, that receiver did come through in the clutch. So UCF, they will get themselves on the board, but it's not going to be a one possession game forever though, as that tailback breaking a couple of tackles right there, able to find the end zone. Touchdown Rice in that circumstance. 21-7. And now UCF needs some points of their own. 40 seconds left in the first half, and that's exactly what they're needed. UCF right back into the ball game. Nice throw into the end zone, and it's a 21-14 lead for Rice. But now the pressure being felt. Rice trying to get some points on their own, and sure enough, one-on-one coverage. And that's going to be barbecue chicken, as that is going to be yet another touchdown pass. Rice not even known for passing the football. And Johnson, he came into this game with 5 touchdown passes total on the season. He has 2 of them today. So he now has 7 touchdown passes total, 2 of which coming in this game. That might be the first time that we've seen something like that all season long. And Rice really starting to run away with it here. 35-14 lead, using that running game, and just nothing that UCF could do about that wishbone offense. Winning that time of possession, that's big for Rice's success, and we saw it right there. And Rice is probably going to be kicking out the University of Central Florida out of the top 25 to get a big win here, winning by 3 possessions, and just doing it with pounding the rock. They passed the football a grand total of 5 times in this game, but they have 400 yards rushing, And that's all she wrote, man. So as we're getting ready to wrap up week 13 action here in this inaugural season of the FCS Dynasty, let's take a look around the NCAA real quick, just to check out some of the scores that went down that we did not get a chance to see this week. Starting with Morgan State. Morgan State, they've been a little down bad as of recently. Definitely have struggled in the second half of the season. Losing big this time to Arkansas State. They lose 51-21. So Morgan State will fall to 3-7 on the season. Mid-Tennessee State, though, even though they are no longer ranked in the top 25, they are still looking to finish the season strong. They went on the road to play against the Maine Black Bears, and they beat Maine pretty convincingly, 52-21. Maine falls to 2-8 from this game, and UNLV will do the same. As a ranked team, they move to 10-1 now, taking care of business against the Denver Pioneers, beating them 66-0 at home. Denver now 3-8 in the season. Idaho also doing the same thing against Stephen F. Austin, going on the road and winning 52-24. The Lumberjacks now 3-8 on the year. Eastern Carolina also doing the same thing. They played against Northeastern on the road and winning 60-3, as the Eastern Carolina Pirates still remain undefeated. Northeastern now 2-8 on the year. As for Temple, they actually had a little bit of an upset scare, matter of fact, as they almost lose to Rhode Island. They were taken to overtime, but Temple found a way to pull it out, winning 27-24. San Diego State did not have such problems, though, as they finished the regular season 11-0, beating the University of Missouri and Kansas City 49-0, as the Kangaroos are 1-10 in their first season of FCS football. Eastern Michigan also getting in a shootout with Buffalo in action. They win 59-42 with 28 points scored in the second quarter to help make sure that they don't get upset. As for Montana, they had a rivalry game against Portland State, but the Vikings simply do not have the horses, as Montana notched their 9th win of the season, winning 31-0 and going undefeated in Pac-10 conference play. Utah State, though, also looking pretty good in WAC actions. They beat St. Thomas 33-3. The St. Thomas Tommies do get a field goal early, but 33 unanswered points did spell their doom. However, that being said, though, a huge upset here as New Mexico State loses their first game of the season. They lose to San Jose State 37-20. The Spartans scoring the biggest upset of the week, no question. As for UMass actually quietly having a pretty good year so far. They win 37-7 against the Penn Quakers from the Ivy League. UMass now 7-3, while Penn is even at 5-5. William & Mary, though, also having a good year. They are 7-3 and beat the Charleston Cougars 39-6. Charleston now 2-8 on the year. Tulane also making sure their business is taken care of. They will remain in the top 25, beating Villanova 34-8. Villanova finishing the year 1-10. UL Monroe, though, they probably will fall outside the top 25, as they were beaten in a rivalry matchup 21-13 at home. We'll see if this knocks them out of the top 25. So for the final game of this episode, it pits two teams, both from the SEC conference, and even though neither team will clinch their division from this game, it will certainly put them in the driver's seat, as both teams after this will have one more conference game left to play. But let's check out the SEC West standings real quick. Southeastern currently on top. They have a 5-1 conference record, but Northwestern State, they are right behind them, 4-2. So if they can take care of business against the Southeastern squad, they will actually pull ahead, and they will be first place in the division. But they got to deal with quarterback Jazz Jackson, who doesn't get a lot of love because Southeastern hasn't been ranked, and every time that they had a chance to get ranked, they have like these head-scratching losses, like the one to Furman that we saw earlier this season, back in week number 10. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, though. 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. They're actually going to try a trick play, though, but Chaz Jackson gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree, though, as they were all over it, trying to set up the blocks. and it just simply wasn't working at the end of the day, right? So yeah, I hate to see it. And now 2nd and long, trying to throw for that first down marker, looking for Mike Hill, but Dante Washington had other plans as he's going to be able to pick off Jazz Jackson in this one. And Northwestern State, first drive of the game for them, they start in plus territory and cashing in quickly off of the turnover, as well as they are going to be able to go ahead and run this thing into the end zone, and it's a touchdown for Northwestern State. This is going to be a 7-0 lead here early, but look at this run though, running right through the gut of the defense. That's how you know how tough you are, running through all those defenders with absolutely reckless abandon, and the Demons coming through. 14-0 now. Look at this run. 1 tackle, 2, 3. All of a sudden, it's a foot race and no one is ahead of him. And this running back determined to get his team to the conference championship. I mean, look at this kind of running. Will Gates is on demon time right now. And I mean that in a non-punny kind of way. I promise you that I didn't mean to do that. But 9 carries, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns already. This man means business. How about we do a hat trick? He trucks that man into the next dimension. Like, look at this. Look at that run, just trucking over defenders. It's 21-0. And just not helping. You know, Chaz Jackson's just not getting help from his team as of right now. He's not helping. He did throw an interception earlier in this one, but he can't control like his teammates fumbling the football either. So it sets up another plus opportunity, and this time they don't run it into the end zone. They're gonna actually pass it in there. They were all sucked in on the run, and that receiver, man, he was wide butt naked open. And you want to talk about opening up the can. It's 28-0 already for Northwestern State as they look to put in a finishing nail in the coffin already. And sure enough, doing just that, it's 35-0. And again, we are not even at halftime yet. It's been a dominant one-sided affair. Keep in mind, these two teams are playing for the chance to go to a conference championship game. Certainly not a lot of urgency so far. And I thought that this would be one of those games where, okay, I'll stop the recording early, you know, maybe show the box score to show what that final score is towards the end. But then Southeastern decides that they wanted to play football. And give this crowd some credit that many of them still sticking around, even though that first half probably as lopsided as it could possibly get. And now a chance to finally get points on the board. Jackson throwing it out on the perimeter. He's going to find his receiver. And Southeast Louisiana is going to finally get that goose egg off the board. A lot of work that is going to be needed to be done. But that will help as Jazz Jackson, that's going to have his receiver get to over 1,000 yards. And now this quarterback also on the verge of 3,000 passing yards. You love to see it as Hill gets open downfield. That does get him to that 3,000 yard mark. And they're going to need a lot more of that if they're going to come back in this game. They only scored 1 touchdown in that third quarter. They closed the gap a little bit, but they're going to need a miracle if they want to just tie this game up. They're going to need some help. They start with a touchdown there. Gets it to a 3-possession game. Nice throw for Chaz Jackson. Able to find his open receiver. Later, 4 minutes left to play. Facing some pressure, but gets absolutely crumbled right up the middle. And it looks like there was a misassignment there on the offensive line. And now time running a little bit shorter now. Less than 2 minutes left to play here. We see a pass broken up rudely as that... I'm surprised he's not getting put into the concussion protocol. But now, 1:47 left to play. Jackson sending the ball out deep downfield. And it's turning into a foot race. And he's gone. Touchdown, Lions. And suddenly, this game now gets a little bit more interesting all of a sudden, okay? We're talking about a 2-possession game. Miracles do happen. Northwestern State, they can't close out the clock, so Southeastern they get another opportunity with the football. They're doing a little bit better job running the ball, as well as that's actually their, looks like that might be the tight end possibly. That's getting involved in, running these kinds of, options kind of plays. And gotta give this tight end credit, man. He's making things happen here, as that is now 2 consecutive big runs, that alone, more rushing yards that this defense has allowed than throughout the entire game. I just wish it wasn't, just such desperate times so we could see this rushing attack a little bit more, as Jackson will finish the job, get into the end zone. And all of a sudden here, after 35 unanswered for the Demons, now it's 28 unanswered for Southeastern, and a chance to possibly tie this game up depending on the onside kick, but they can't recover the onside though. And Northwestern State, there was a little bit more drama than I thought there was going to be when it was that 35-0 lead. But the Demons will hold out, and while they won't clinch, they have one more conference game that they should win to make sure that things are completely solidified. This will get them to 6-4. Southeastern falls to 7-3, and now Southeastern, not only do they need to win their next conference game, but Northwestern State needs to lose theirs as well if they want to go to that conference championship game in the SEC. So with the remaining number of regular season games continuing to dwindle down, as we're now in the last full week, we're entering the last full week, moving into week number 14. Now we do have some teams that did clinch either a division title or a conference championship title, depending on the conference. Starting out in the new look ACC, we have the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens, and they do go ahead and they secure a victory, moving into that division championship. They will now await to see whoever wins between New Hampshire and James Madison, and that will be one of the games played next week. It's not the game of the week, surprisingly, but these two teams will go up against each other for the right to be the Coastal Division title. Whoever wins this game, they will play against Delaware in the ACC Conference Championship. Now, for the Big Ten Conference, we do see Tennessee Tech, who actually just gets themselves back into the top 25. The number 25 team in the nation, Big Ten champions at 7-4, 6-2 conference record. It was a lot to work through. There were some teams that were in it till the very end, but Tennessee State, Youngstown State, and Western Kentucky did end up all falling short. So Tennessee Tech will be the Big Ten champions. Over in the Big 12 North, we got Grambling State actually winning things in the Northern Division. They at 6-5 overall with a 5-3 conference record. They will now await to see who ends up winning the Southern Division, and that will be decided in the next episode as well. Southern and Texas Southern, who actually gets into the top 25 for the very first time. They're number 22 in the country. Both these teams are 7-3 with a 6-1 conference record. Whoever wins this game between these two teams, they go on to the new look Big 12 championship. Now for the Big East, Brown was actually pretty in control the entire time, and even though we didn't really get a chance to get a good game with Brown necessarily, this is a solid football team. 7-3 overall, 6-0 conference record. They will be champions of the Ivy League, so congratulations to the Brown Bears on their success over the course of this season. Now, the Pac-10 championship, all Montana had to do was defeat Portland State, and they would clinch as well. And they do exactly that. That 31-0 win that they experienced helps them clinch the Pac-10 championship title, undefeated in conference play, 9-2 overall, and encroaching into that top 10 positioning. They could definitely sneak in there and, really get inside that top 10, maybe top 5, depending on how much help that they get from other teams around the country. Now, as for the SEC, we do see a champion from the Eastern Division, the Georgia Southern Eagles at number 15 in the country. They do win the division. Now they are tied with a 6-2 conference record, but because Georgia Southern did beat McNeese State earlier in the season, they do get the tiebreaker. Now, they do play, both these teams do have one more game, but that's outside of conference play. Georgia Southern will be taking on Florida A&M, and then the runners-up in this division in McNeese State, who also is back in the top 25, they will also get the opportunity to go on the road to play against Hampton to try to boost their resume up before we jump into postseason action. Now, as for the Western Division, no, it's still a toss-up. We saw Northwestern State beat Southeastern, so Northwestern State, if the season ended today, they do get the the title, right? They do get that Western Division title. However, both these teams still have one conference game left to play. Northwestern State, they are going to take on Elon, whereas Southeastern, they are going to be going on the road actually to play against Sam Houston State. Now, Southeastern can win their game against Sam Houston State, and Elon, I believe it was who Northwestern State got to go up against. If Elon can pull the upset on Northwestern State, then Southeastern can go to the conference championship game. Otherwise, if Northwestern State, they win their game outright, they will be the ones dancing in that conference championship. As for the Heisman watch, what the Heisman update is looking like as of right now, Brian Brown does get himself back into first place. He was instrumental in their performance against Buffalo. It was an absolute shootout, which we definitely saw. But Barrett Haston is right on their heels as well. 200 yards of total offense and 3 touchdowns against Northeastern. His team is also undefeated, and they have one of their highest rankings, though, and they're inside the top 5 for sure. Now, unfortunately for Kerry Williams, with 2 guys, moving upward, someone had to move down, and it was Kerry Williams. Yes, he did throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, but losing to an unranked San Jose State, that certainly does not help. However, that being said, got a couple of FCS teams that have a Heisman guy in there. John Reed still in the picture. 12 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. A good look for the junior wide receiver, who's been having a good year, even though his team has not done the same thing. And then Carlos Montoya actually gets himself back into the Heisman watch, surprisingly, even though he had a very pedestrian performance, I would say, against Norfolk State. 9 for 18, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But he did have a really good year as of right now. So guys, that is going to wrap things up here, as next episode will be really the final episode here in year number 1, where we'll have a full slate of regular season games, and then we'll start really ramping up to conference matchups, conference tournament games, as well as other postseason action that's going to be involved. I hope you guys are ready for that episode. It's going to be a fun one no matter what. And if you guys are truly excited for it, I need you guys to go ahead and do me a favor. Smack that like button, and then of course hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.